In this video, we are looking at sub-dependencies in FastAPI, the ability for one dependency to itself depend on another. This is one of the most powerful ideas in FastAPI's dependency injection system, and once it clicks, you will start seeing elegant opportunities to simplify your code everywhere. Imagine you have a token header that must be passed. Then that passed token must be validated against a database, and the validated user must then be checked for a specific permission. 3 steps that nearly every protected endpoint needs. Without sub-dependencies, you copy that chain into every endpoint, or you write one giant helper that does everything at once, making it hard to test or reuse individual paths. Neither option scales. Picture a factory assembly line. Each station receives the finished output of the previous station, adds its own contribution, and passes the result forward. No station goes back and restamps the chassis from scratch. FastAPI's sub-dependency system works the same way. Each dependency receives the resolved output of whatever it depends on, and the framework makes sure no step is repeated unnecessarily. The key insight is that depends is not limited to path operation functions. Any callable, a plain function, a class, an async function that you pass to depends can itself declare parameters annotated with depends. FastAPI reads all of those annotations, figures out the full graph of dependencies, resolves them from the bottom up, and by the time your endpoint function runs, every value is already computed and injected. Let us walk through this. The first function, get_raw_token, declares an authorization header parameter using header and strips the bearer prefix, raising a 401 if the format is wrong. The second function, get_current_user, declares a parameter called token, annotated with depends of get_raw_token. So FastAPI, I will call get_raw_token first and pass its return value in. It checks the token value and returns a user dict. The third function, require_admin, similarly depends on get_current_user and enforces the role. Finally, the path operation at /dashboard depends only on require_admin. It never mentions headers or token passing directly. FastAPI resolves the full chain on every request, calling each function exactly once. When a request arrives, FastAPI does not call your endpoint function first. It walks the dependency graph it built at startup, starting from the deepest leaves, the things nothing else depends on, and works its way up. If 2 different dependencies in the same graph both depend on the same subdependency, FastAPI calls that subdependency once and reuses the cached result for that request. This means you pay no extra cost for sharing logic, and you are guaranteed a single consistent value throughout the request lifecycle. Sub-dependencies shine when you have a natural layered flow, for example, authentication, where each layer has exactly one job and the layers are genuinely reused. The friction point is indirection. A developer reading the endpoint signature has to follow depends chains to understand what the function actually receives. If your chain is more than 3 levels deep, or if the sub-dependency is never reused anywhere else, a plain function call inside a single dependency is usually clearer and costs nothing. To summarize, sub-dependencies let you compose small single-purpose functions into rich behavior without duplicating logic across endpoints. FastAPI handles the graph resolution and caching automatically. The discipline to maintain is keeping each layer genuinely focused and not building chains so deep that they become harder to read than the code they were meant to simplify.